What is going on, guys? It's Jamie and welcome back to another video, and this week I am joined by this lovely lady here. If you do not know, this is my girlfriend Lucy. Although if you've been following me on YouTube for a while, you will have seen her in some videos in the past, but she's never been formally introduced. So this is Lucy. In this week's video, guys, this is a very exciting one. If you see my last video, you will have seen like the brief announcement about this, or if you follow me on the Instagram, but pretty much we bought a house.
Yay!
That was like the most like
Can you put some effects on it so it's like...
Yeah, it's like the most boring like reveal ever. Yep, we have bought a house, guys. Very exciting news. This is the first episode in the house buying series. So basically, guys, I just want this series to document the entire process of buying a house, from where we were before to where we are now, to the build and moving in, and then obviously everything after that, the entire process. Hopefully it's going to be useful for you if you are looking to buy a house or thinking about it, or you're in the process at the minute, you know, all of those things. We both really wanted to get the videos like more like informative, because when we were in the position where we were thinking about, you know, getting a house, there's not really a lot of like resources on YouTube.
No,
so to speak.
there was only like one or two.
Yeah, there's not like a whole lot of content. So in that circumstance, it's important that we can create it and give it to you guys. So basically, at the end of last year, we knew that at the start of 2020, we wanted to start looking for a house. We just wanted to start this kind of new chapter together. So we were like, the start of 2020, we'll start looking for a house. Basically, guys, the first step in all of this is going to be getting a mortgage advisor. Lucy's two brothers actually had moved out previously, and they both used the same mortgage advisor. So obviously, being a sibling, we just use that same one.
So what a mortgage advisor does is they look at all your pay slips and kind of what you can afford, what your monthly outgoings would be, whether you have any like loans you're paying back or anything, which we weren't. So
it's basically, it's just the person who is in charge of everything, because when you get the ball rolling, you realise that if you tried to do it without a mortgage advisor, like you would just...
Can you do it without one?
I don't know, yeah, I reckon, but you wouldn't, because you just have no idea. Like, there is so much that goes into it. And the most important thing that he did for us at the start was basically, as Lucy said, get hold of, we had to give him like months worth of pay slips and P60s and all of this like monetary information. And frankly, he just tells you how much money you would be able to afford to borrow from the bank, and you like tell him a deposit, how much of a deposit you have, and he takes that, and you basically find out how much money you can borrow to get a house. So this is literally the first step, because obviously before this, if you don't know how much you can borrow, like there's no point looking for a house, because you don't know what the value it can be, how much you can afford, etc. So that is the main thing, guys, a mortgage advisor, and he is still obviously being really helpful with us now. He'll be with us like throughout the whole process, and he works alongside the solicitor at this stage that we're at, which I'll get to. So they just basically work together, and it helps the whole thing really work, doesn't it? So
that's how they work together.
They go like that. We had a meeting with him, and he told us what we could borrow, so that gave us like a rough figure that we could then begin to actually look for a house on online.
Yeah, and that was in January.
Yeah, that was in January of this year. Obviously, take everything you hear with a pinch of salt, guys, because obviously this year has just been completely different to anything else that we could have expected, which I'll get to, but obviously with the pandemic and everything. But yeah, we looked at houses for probably a few months, didn't we?
It's important that you go and have a look at houses just to get an idea of what you like and what you don't like.
Yeah.
And having a list, I think we had a list of things that we definitely wanted and things that we
you
were
begin to kind of
on.
get these ideas in your head of, I mean obviously we had an idea of what we wanted and the area in which we wanted to live and look for and stuff like that, but it's important to actually go and look at houses, even if, I mean, it's just going to sound dickish because you're kind of just going for the sake of it, but even if you don't, or even if you know that you're probably not going to be interested in the house, it's kind of good to go to get an idea of like the layout and stuff like that, because you might think in your head that you want something, but when you actually see it, like, oh, we want the kitchen here, or we don't want a kitchen, do you know what I mean? Like, it was all going swimmingly. We looked at a few different houses. There was a couple that took our fancy really early on, and we basically decided like not to go for it.
I think
because
like the first one we saw, it could have been potential, but because
there was
the
one
first one we'd
literally around the corner from where Lucy lives now. It probably, like, we thought it would be like the perfect ideal first home, but we decided not to go for it because it almost was too soon. Like, this was like the first or second week of actually looking for somewhere, and we didn't want to just like rush into it when there might be somewhere better in the future. Obviously that turned out for the best now, I would say. So probably January, February, we were looking for houses. And then all of a sudden, like the world just went and stopped. Yeah, short story. We basically ended up being in lockdown away from each other, like separately. I was at my house back in Shotley. Lucy was here in Ipswich. Basically, we didn't see each other properly for like 12 weeks or something. All of this just threw a complete spanner into our house search, and there was literally a point where we were like, well, this is it. We're not going to find a house this year, because that was before 2020. The goal was to get a house, like be in our own house by the end of the year. And yeah, when all the COVID stuff came along, we were like, well, fuck, that's it. Like, we're not going to find a house by the end of the year. So fast forward a few weeks in lockdown, and the housing market basically opened back up, and they said, you can go and view houses, and you can basically start selling houses again, which obviously was a very, very good thing for us. Because it meant we could just start to look again at least. The houses we were looking at were all older properties. We weren't really looking at new builds. I mean, obviously around this area there wasn't really many at all anyway.
We looked at the estate that we've actually bought on, and at the time it was beyond.
Yeah, Lucy. There's basically a new build site here in Ipswich, in this end of Ipswich, by Bovis. They are the developer, Bovis Homes, and Lucy basically reached out to them.
Well, at the beginning of a search, we decided that there weren't any properties that we wanted within our budget, because they obviously released them in stages as well, so there weren't any at the time. I think the ones that we were interested in were way too much at the time, but then it came to about May time when the property market reopened.
We got back in contact with Bovis.
I thought it might just worth asking, because obviously with everything that happens with COVID, the property market might have.
And you have to realise, like, at the same time, obviously through COVID, like, the property market went down, and house prices like generally went down a little bit, but obviously our savings like went the opposite way. It was difficult, like not being able to see each other and stuff, but the positive of all of it was that obviously throughout that period Lucy was working from home, so she was still getting her usual income. I was only furloughed for a few weeks, so ended up going back to work anyway, so we were still earning like our incomes, and obviously we weren't able to do anything, so we were saving more money during that process. So we also got back in contact with our mortgage advisor, and they said that
we could probably afford a bit more.
We'd be able to afford a bit more. We just had that extra 3-month period where we were able to save more money. So
so then I emailed them again just to see what was available now, because obviously this was a few months later, and they had a property that was a 3-bed that we were interested in before. Originally they said they couldn't go below a certain price that we were asking for, but this time around they said they might be able to have some wiggle room in the price. So
with new builds, like, you may well think that the price that they give you is like that's it, and there's no like leeway or wiggle room in there, but you can negotiate with new build developers. You just have to like have the balls basically to ask them. If you're going to pay that full price without asking the question, then obviously they're going to be happy, but there is some negotiation. You kind of haggle with them a little bit.
I suppose it depends what interest they've got in the properties as well.
We managed to get a very, very good deal on the house that we wanted. There's ways around it, and there's ways to get them down on the price. There's ways to be able to make it affordable for you, like if the prices seem too high.
A lot of them do like help to buy options. As well.
I mean, we're obviously in a really good position, luckily, with our savings. We were in a position where we didn't need that, but with new builds there is that help to buy option as well, where you only need literally like a 5% deposit, and then the government pays a bit and the developer, and there's ways around it, and there's ways to get into the housing market in the new builds anyway, if you feel like you haven't got a big deposit.
So where are we?
Yeah, we basically had that conversation with Bovis, and we were like, okay, cool. Okay, so we can kind of afford one now, and managed to book a viewing on, it was actually Lucy's birthday, the 23rd of May. We went over to, it's called Ribbons Park, just down the road in Ipswich, literally around the corner from where Lucy lives now. And we went over to view the property on Lucy's birthday.
So yeah, the property we viewed wasn't the one that we've actually got. It was just a property they already have built that we could view, so we could see what it looked like. I don't think we would have bought somewhere not knowing what it would look like inside.
With new builds you can do a thing where it's called buying off plan, which is, say it's at the start of the development and there isn't any houses that are built yet, like show homes. You can buy a house off plan, and that means all you've got to go by for what it's going to be like is like the drawings that they have for like the building site, which is kind of scary. Like, I don't know if we'd do that, because there's no like physical house to see. Like, you're just buying it off of a drawing. As our one is going to be like at the end of the development, like once it's done, it's finished. There was some other properties the same that we could go and view.
Yeah.
So yeah, we went to view it, and I think we pretty much both fell in love with it straight away.
Yeah.
I use the analogy like it was kind of going to view like a puppy when you go and look at a dog.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to go and view a cute puppy and then come away and not want it. So yeah, we both loved it straight away, and long story short, we reserved it. We put a reservation down, didn't we?
Yeah.
But it wasn't as easy as that. Like, that from that point, it was probably like almost 3 weeks.
Yeah, it was stressful.
It was stressy.
I think with like the pandemic and with people only just going back to work at Bovis, it took a bit longer as well.
Long period.
And because our offer was not what they wanted to sell it at originally, it had to go through a few approvals and stuff in the head office and stuff.
The first offer wasn't accepted. That one had already gone. But the second one we put an offer in, which was the neighbour.
The second plot.
Yeah, the second plot. It was the next door neighbour. We got it. It was accepted. And as I said, it wasn't as easy as that. There was a lot of back and forward emails between. Lucy was actually amazing. Like, she sorted the whole thing out, like, on the emails.
Stress.
Yeah.
They kept telling us that we'd find out on this day.
They were
and
like,
then
we'll get an answer to you by Monday, and then the Monday came, and it's like, we'll have to wait till Wednesday, and then the Wednesday, and it was like, next week, and it was a long, anxious period because we were like,
that's
it. Like,
that's the most stressful moment
so far
that we've had.
Definitely. But we got it. We came out on top, guys. We managed to get the offer accepted. We had to pay £500 to Bovis, and that was just like a reservation fee to say that we wanted it. And when we paid that, it meant that they no longer had it on the market and they could no longer accept offers on it. So it was kind of ours unofficially. Like, it was like secure, so we could relax a bit. And then after that, there was a few forms to fill out from Bovis. The next step after that was to get a solicitor, and luckily Bovis, kind of referred a couple to us, and we picked one of those to save us really having to look, which was handy. And you basically, all like Bovis, the solicitor, and our mortgage advisor all kind of are then in contact with each other.
The next step
there's a lot of stuff going on, like, that we don't really see, but basically what the solicitor does, they just do all of the legal stuff, like behind the house. I mean, it's hard. God
knows what they're doing.
We don't even really know what they do, but we just know that you need a solicitor.
Lots of forms.
Yeah, there's a lot of like legal shit that needs to be signed, and the solicitor
making sure we're not
getting
mugged off.
So yeah, Bovis is in contact with our mortgage advisor and the solicitor. They're all working together to basically exchange contracts. So there's lots of emails and paperwork that goes on between all of those three. We had to sign a load of paperwork from the solicitor, and that was really the last kind of stuff we all signed, wasn't it?
Yeah, so for the mortgage application, we had to send off all our pay slips, P60s, and all the proof of that we've got the money that we say we have. So he can then send that off to the mortgage application, and we can get that. And then in terms of solicitor, we had to do the same, really, show that we had the money that we had, and then just
it's
read
basically
a lot of
all just showing that you can actually afford how much the house is worth. So it's all just pay slips and everything like that. From there, it was basically a case of our mortgage advisor getting an application sorted for a mortgage, which then he puts forward to a lender, i.e. the bank, and they then accept it or decline it, don't they?
Yeah.
If they basically say yes or no to the mortgage offer, and luckily ours was actually accepted yesterday. Yeah.
So we've now got a mortgage.
Yeah. Yesterday we got contacts back from our mortgage advisor and NatWest, who is the lender that he went with, and they basically told us that our mortgage offer has been accepted, which means we can get a mortgage, basically, which is very exciting.
Well, we've got a mortgage.
Yeah, we have it, which is very exciting, because that's quite a big step in the house buying process. So that's like one of the big things out of the way, and from here on out, it's the next kind of big thing legally is the exchange of contracts, which
should be able to go ahead now.
Now we've been accepted for the mortgage, like the ball should start rolling for all of that, and hopefully, I mean, that might be within the next month or so.
I would have thought so.
It's hard to say the timeline because as we said, the COVID situation has kind of messed everything up.
And the fact that it's a new build, I think in a normal house it would move a lot quicker.
Move faster,
but our house isn't built to December, so there's not any real rush to get anything completed.
It kind of just is what it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that is basically the process so far.
Yeah.
I feel like we've babbed on for about a feature-length film to you guys. I think generally that is basically the whole process from then until now, guys.
Do you want to do a brief overview?
Yeah.
Mortgage meeting to determine how much you can afford.
Yeah.
Look for your house.
Yeah.
Decide you want to put an offer in for your house.
Yeah,
Reserve, put your offer in. Offer gets accepted. Yeah. Sign a few more forms. Get your mortgage application. You get your mortgage offer, and then you exchange of contracts, which is where we're at the moment.
We're waiting for it. Yeah. And then once, I mean, in a regular circumstance, once you exchange, like within the next month, you'd probably get the keys and complete. Obviously, in this case, we're different because the house still won't be built by the time we exchange and isn't going to be until the end of this year. So once we've exchanged, I mean, it's just kind of a waiting game. There'll be like site visits and everything like that, which I can talk to you guys about more in the future. But yeah.
Yay!
It's all a lot to take in, guys. There's been a lot going on over the last few weeks. Obviously not helped with the current situation of the world, and I wish that it would have been that we were together whilst this whole process was going on, because it just would have been a lot. I mean, obviously it was an exciting period, but if we were together it would have been just more exciting, if that makes sense.
But we're together now. And next time there's a global pandemic, we'll be in our own house.
But we're going to take a walk over to Ribbons Park, which is going to be where our house is one day.
Yeah, so we can go and have a little...
And I'm going to take you guys with me. We're going to go for a stroll. It's literally like a 10 or 15 minute walk away from Lucy's. We're going to go for a little walk over there. We're going to show you guys the progress.
Show you some bricks in the ground.
I mean, we basically, because it's so close, we've been going like weekly. Fingers crossed we're going to go there and it's going to be a little bit more progress. Either way, there is going to be something to show you guys. And here we are, guys. Welcome to what will one day be our house. I mean, you obviously cannot see a lot at the minute. Hopefully you guys can actually see because there's a fence in the way anyway. But these two plots here, right behind me, are 2 and 3. The number 2 is the one closest to us, and number 3 is the one behind that wall in the middle, which is our plot, which is actually a shame because it means when we come here, now that that partition wall is kind of up in the middle, we can't actually see like what's going on behind it, which is a bit annoying because we also can't get round here and see it from the front because they're actually building over here as well for something different. At this stage, I know it's really hard to envision what it's going to be like. I'm going to chuck a little clip on the screen for you guys right here to see what the house is going to look like when it's finished. So this is what a Clifton looks like after completion, and this is what our house is going to look like. So yeah, it's very, very exciting, guys. It's still surreal to stand here and say that we own the house there. Like, it's kind of freaky, isn't it? But yeah, that pile of bricks are ours. These are our blocks right here. This is ours. But yeah, I mean, that is basically all there is to see at the minute, guys. It literally is a building site, but it's very exciting because as it obviously progresses and the coronavirus thing kind of gets eased down, we will be able to go for site visits, which is where we book an appointment and we can actually go into the site and into the property and kind of see it closer and what's going on and stuff, which as the build gets closer and closer to the finish will be a very, very exciting time, and obviously all of those will get vlogged as well. Alright guys, that is going to be it for this video. I was actually just editing it up and realised that I hadn't actually shot an outro.
Classic.
Last week when we shot the video. But yeah, as I said, that is going to be it for this video, guys. I really, really hope that you enjoyed this one. We had a lot of fun making it, and hopefully it was a good introduction to what is bound to be a very exciting series of house vlogs. If you did enjoy the video, guys, make sure you hit that thumbs up button and leave a comment down below. If you're going through your house buying process yourself, let us know what kind of things you've been going through, what you found of the whole process and everything like that, because we'd be really interested to know. If you're new to the channel, guys, or if you just haven't done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button for new videos every single week and many more house vlogs coming soon from both of us. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye.